So we're working on this 8420, these SCVs here, and this is number 2. Here's your selective control valves where your solenoids slide onto, and we were having some issues with it staying on while in neutral. It was continuing to run the pump, indicating that we were getting oil pressure to the pump, telling the pump to turn on. And so I got this all back together. I want to show you a few things about them, kind of explain what's going on. Here is the dime valve, which is very important. It goes in this hole right here, and that dime valve has certain placements . Okay, so first of all, we have the selective control valve itself. This one, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's been nicked on the side, and that originally came out of number 2. This is number 3 now. I put it at number 3 to see if it would fix it. These are $420 a piece. It doesn't seem to have caused any malfunctions. Things have been working just fine in number 3. But I think what happened is there's a spring inside here. This spring here got over against that and was pressing against that. That's one issue that I found. The next issue that I want to show you, there's also a little pin that goes down inside that SCV there. And I'm not exactly sure what all this stuff does, but that just sits down inside there, and this rides on top of that. Now this pin, this spring here, this is the tricky part. When putting it together, you can get this thing stuck on the side of the hole it's supposed to go into. It's not, here, there it is. No, I dropped it. That has to fall down into the middle of that hole. And if it doesn't fall down in that middle of that hole, it's basically, if it doesn't go in there easy, but you can get it caught, and that's, I think, fairly important. I don't know if that's what was wrong with that one there, why it was causing issues or not, but I have a suspicion it was. There, see, it's caught on that plastic slider inside there, and it's supposed to go down inside of it and not get caught. So now, how do you fix that from happening? What do you do to keep that from getting caught in there? Well, the valve is inside here. I don't think I can pull it out from this end. I'm gonna try. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So here's the valve inside there, and that pin has to sit down inside here. This bigger spring is over top like that. So fairly simple. But what happens is you put this valve inside here, and don't force that in, it should fall in. Now, if this is slid all the way inside there, you'll have to put that side in first and the spring on, and then try to line this up. And then try to slide this in there. And what will happen is it can get caught on that side of that plastic thing. So you have to do it the other way around. You have to put this, see there, it got caught already. Put this down inside there first, and then slide the whole thing, pushing the valve back with the solenoid on the outside. Otherwise, that spring can get in the wrong place. And I'm just double checking these just to make sure they're in the right place because I had them apart before and I didn't consider that as an option before. So that's basically what goes on with that. It's pretty simple, self-explanatory, and not too difficult. The back side of this plug I'll show you here. This cap does come off, and I'll show you a parts diagram. Behind this cap there's a relief valve type thing, and there's no one about right in here. And then those two valves can come out from this side as well. Torquing this thing back down, these get torqued to 120 foot-pounds and these get torqued to 70 foot-pounds. So just a little bit of extra information there. Okay, so we're going to get these SCV stacks put back together. This is basically just showing the internals, and this right here says load sense check valves, which we also are known as dime valves. And so you can see one in all four of these, or five of these, I guess, because there's 6 in this total stack or something. Well, I guess this in here is the 3-point. Anyway, the top one does not have one. If you put a dime valve up here, you will have issues, quite a lot of issues. Something to do with the load sense, getting oil up in here, oil pressure up in here, and it will not work correctly. Now, here we're going to the diagram of what it'd be if you had power beyond. And this is a diagram. Now you have a dime valve up on the top one. And I'm not sure how all that works, but somehow that all functions together to make things work correctly. And this is what it looks like if you have power beyond and a trailer brake. So again, I don't no idea what a trailer brake would be like, or yeah, but that's the picture for that one. But we're going to focus on this in here because we do not have power beyond and no trailers. So basically, as we put things together, we're going to make sure that they all have dime valves except for the top one between the top and that end cap and the top SCV. And here is the top end cap and the SCV there. So there's no dime valve between those two. Another thing to note is block your 3-point up or let it all the way down before you start, like I didn't, because oil just keeps shooting up out of this pitch valve if you don't. And I found that out the hard way. So we have dime valve, O-ring, outside O-rings all still in place. Things look pretty good and clean yet. So now number 1 is on there. Let's go ahead and put number 2 in place. Okay, 66 foot-pounds. Okay, so before, when you would start this thing up, it would really drag and just about not start because the pump was still engaged, and it sometimes wouldn't even start because it was just too much pressure for the starter to turn. So we'll see how it sounds now. Things are empty of oil. It surely won't start hard now. Oh, it cranked over real fast. Okay, so number 2 had been our issue. They're all in neutral. I'm going to listen for the whine of the pump when I move number 1. You hear it whine? It seems to be working. You can hear the pump engage every time we do that, which means it's not engaged. It used to just always be on. I think we fixed the problem. I'm fairly certain it was that spring was caught inside that selective control valve. Used to be when we shut the tractor off, it would die immediately because the pump got a lot of pressure. So let's shut it off and see if it dies immediately. No, that's much slower. That sounded much, much better, like it's supposed to sound. We'll try it once more, starting it up, and just see if it starts hard. Oh, fired right up. It wasn't one bit draggy. So that seems to fix the problem. Okay, there's one other test you guys can do for your SCVs. Come here and take the diagnostic, the spare fuse, and put it in the diagnostic port. Here we go. And the rest is all done from your, just turn your key on and then run your blinker switch. I'm going to go forward, turn to ACU, right there. And that's armrest control unit. So now I'm going to pull this back to me. Now I've entered the addresses. And I think we're going to go up here. .12, I think, is number 1. Yeah, okay. So now, 12, if I move my lever, see how the the first 0 on the right represents if it's closed or open. So the 1 means it's in neutral, and if you move it down, this is all the way down, and this is all the way up. So that's, in retrospect, it would be 4 volts total, and this is 1.6 volts. That's how that works. Now if I click it all the way down, it doesn't, it goes back to neutral. But if I put it on the float, now it'll go down to that. Still indicating 0, which is a open circuit now, or something like that. And then you just keep on going through. Let's go to number 13. That would be number 2. And this is just simply so you can check to make sure, these are just basically voltmeters. So you can check to make sure your voltmeters are working properly. They might not all say the exact same thing, but if the first 0 never goes to 1, it means it's not in neutral correctly. And if you can get some stray voltage there. I've had some issues with these before. And then 14 would be for number 3. And 15 for number 4. See there, that one just goes to 17. It doesn't go down to 1.6. And it's in neutral at 2.8 instead of at, well, there's 2.7. Depends how you wiggle the switch, I guess. And then if you had more, like 16 would be for, you had the 5th hydraulic, which I don't have. And so that's what those addresses are. This is the AC addresses between 12 and 16 are the ones you are looking for. And then you can just turn your key off and it exits that mode, and you can hit the fuse back in the normal place, and you're good to go.